Hi, and welcome to another podcast from me, myself, and mind. Myself, Dominic, and Daniel here. And today we're interviewing Gail Lynn, who's based in the United States, was an engineer. She is also an inventor of the Harmonic Egg and also an accomplished author. And today we'll be looking at how the Harmonic Egg produces sound, light, and vibration, and the power of this actually helps heal the human body of various illnesses and diseases. And I'm sure you guys are going to really enjoy the podcast today. Hi, Gail. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. I just woke up. It's really early here, but it's so nice to be with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. So in this podcast today, we're going to be discussing the power of vibration and sound and the positive healing effects that it can have on the human body. But first, could you tell us a little bit about your story and how you first became interested in healing, if you could?
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in the Detroit area, so not a lot of healthy people, a lot of obesity, and my mom was always very heavy and always was challenged with her weight. And so I saw how sad she was, always dieting, always, dealing with stuff. She told me, you're going to have diabetes because it runs in our family. Well, my grandmother worked at a bakery on an assembly line and ate Danishes all day long. That's why she had diabetes.
Yeah.
So I told my mom, I said, we would have dessert or sugar after breakfast, for breakfast, after lunch, after dinner. We were always having sugar. So I had a contest with her. I think it was right around 1996 or 97. And I said, Mom, let's see who can eat the least amount of refined sugars, and whoever loses the most weight, you win. And she was really motivated by winning. So she won. She had much more weight to lose than I did. Yeah. And so it started me thinking, I can really help people. I can really help people shift if I know what they're motivated by, and I can, make them win a contest and they feel like a winner. And so it makes it fun to heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So fast forward, I had worked in automotive for about 10 years in Michigan, and very challenging, always trying to find a way to challenge myself, but nothing challenged me. I was doing engineering assistant work. I was CAD operator. I was doing drafting. Then I went and managed a lab. I was building DC motors. Then I was at the manufacturing plants, helping standardize the distribution process and manufacturing process for different components. And nothing was a challenge. I took project management classes. I was going to college. College wasn't a challenge. Mm-hmm. So I ended up going to Texas to run an international consulting firm in telecom. That was really a challenge, only to learn the lingo of telecom. Telecom has a different dictionary of words. That wasn't a challenge. After that, I ended up getting into Hollywood. Huge challenge to make a movie. And by the time all that finished, it was probably right around 20 years. And I found myself very sick, just going for 20 years. I had severe cardiovascular stress. I had asthma. I had cystic acne. My face was just purple cysts. My hair was falling out. And not now, it's crazy. I had a thyroid issue. I had liver problems. I was on some prescription meds. I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And I was 37 years old, guys. That's crazy. So I thought, let me challenge myself to get my health back, because I know I have a lot more to offer this world, and I wasn't really ready to go. But when the doctor said, you have a heart of an 80-year-old,
oh my gosh,
I had to make some changes. That's when I found sound and light therapy.
Yeah. So that was almost like total burnout then, Gail.
Yeah. Can I just ask, what was that in Hollywood? You said you were making movies in Hollywood?
Yeah, I actually ended up meeting after I got divorced from my husband that we were business partners in the telecom industry. I went to a karate school and met Elvis Presley's stepbrother.
Okay.
So this is why I have been to Liverpool, Dominique. I've been to Liverpool because we did the Beatles story and we were there. They hosted David, who was Elvis's stepbrother, with a Beatles kind of memorabilia event in Liverpool. So I love the Beatles. Yeah, I love. So I met him and I thought for sure he was fake. Who knew Elvis Presley? That's like knowing Mickey Mouse, right?
Yeah.
So I challenged him a little bit. I'm like, you don't know Elvis. Like, you're totally lying. And he starts bringing all these books in. He's like, here's pictures of me and Elvis. Here's pictures of me and Elvis. And I said, oh, okay. So you did know him. He was his mom married Vernon Presley in 1960 when Gladys passed away, Elvis's mom. She had passed away.
Yeah.
And David happened to be a stepbrother then to Elvis and moved into Graceland Mansion.
Okay.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how, like, just sometimes you don't know who you're speaking to and who they know, and then the stories that they have and where that's then going to take you.
Connection.
Yeah. I know more about Elvis than I ever want to know in my entire life. Don't need to know all that stuff. But I said to him, he said, well, Elvis was my big brother, my friend, my mentor, my father figure. And he said, how do you do something bigger than, your father figure who was Elvis? And I said, I don't know. What couldn't Elvis do? I was always a motivator, right? Yeah. And he said, well, Elvis could go into the president's office and rummage through his drawers. Elvis could get a police badge from every city he visited. Elvis could do anything. Yeah. And I said, there's got to be something. And he said, well, Elvis always wanted to direct a film, but his management, Colonel Tom Parker, wouldn't let him. He was a singer. He was an actor. That's it. Okay. So I said, well, David, I guess you're going to direct a movie. He said, what? Have you ever made a movie? I'm like, no, but how hard can it be?
And was it a bit tough? Was that a challenge, Gail?
Oh my gosh, that was the biggest challenge I've ever had in my entire life. Working in Hollywood 7 years, raising the money, doing the pre-production, the production, the post-production, all the editing, all the film festivals. It was just madness. It was crackers. And I don't know how I survived it. I really was on the verge of a nervous breakdown when we were doing our filming. Oof, so it was like 16 hours a day. You just shoot everything, and then you film everything, and then you go into editing.
Yeah. So it doesn't stop.
And it's nonstop. Once you turn the cameras on, you're spending money. And like, I think it was 10 days, we spent almost $2 million. Just, and we got all of our footage. And what I thought was really fun is sometimes during a movie, the actors get married before they meet, depending on the location where you're shooting. You got to shoot everything in that location. It is so brilliant to watch the expertise and the talent of actors.
Yeah.
They are so gifted. Oh my gosh, just watching them to be married and you just meet somebody and you have to interact with them that way. And then you have a couple of days later, pretend like you just met.
Yeah.
So yeah. Acting is such a talent, such a gift.
Yeah. But it's not where you didn't want to stay in that field of work.
It was a cutthroat industry. It really wasn't the vibe that I wanted. I like, rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, and that's not Hollywood.
Yeah. I can't imagine it is. But, if we take it onto the track of, when you said you found, light and sound healing, could you talk us through a little bit about the universe and different frequencies? Would we be right in saying that everything in our universe vibrates and at different frequencies and different levels of vibration?
Absolutely. So not only does everything in the universe vibrate at different frequencies, but so does instruments. So that's what I focus on with the Harmonic Egg. I focus on the instruments and the different sound waves and how each sound wave will affect a different organ. So going back to the universe, yes, we have people that David Hawkins, his work, Power versus Force, is a brilliant book for people to read. And he talks about each different emotion and how it has a frequency. So if he's talking about Jesus or something, he might be talking about 1,000 hertz. But then you talk about anger and it's 100 hertz. So he has a scale. And I believe that disease can't survive in the frequency of love and gratitude and happiness and just those higher vibrations. I feel like here's herpes, here's cancer. If you're here, that's not going to be on the same vibration or the frequency. If you're at a lower frequency, it's not a match. You don't match the vibration of the disease. And so I feel like during all this COVID nonsense, I've been trying to stay out of fear, trying to stay in love and gratitude. And like, knock on wood, I haven't gotten it. I've been on 50 or 60 flights. I've been to the UK. I've been to Netherlands. I've been in hotels. Who knows how well they're cleaned. I've hugged strangers, and people are probably going to judge me for what I'm saying. But I didn't do the social distancing with the people that I loved. I didn't live in fear of strangers that I was meeting for the first time and training them on how to operate their harmonic egg. I embraced them, and we were very healthy. That hugging builds your immune system.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So it's, well, without going too much into the rabbit hole of COVID, when we're talking about these different vibrations and how those lower vibrations could be where disease is formed, did you have to ultimately change your own vibration when you were coming from that period of feeling burnt out and sick? And then
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. No one's asked me that before. I lived in so much anger and resentment and judgment and criticism. That's how I was raised. I was raised in a super pessimistic home where my dad would tell me, you can't be rich. You can't have money. You're always trying to buy steaks with hamburger money. That's what he would tell me. They would say, steaks with hamburger money. I'm trying to buy a New York strip and I should get just a hamburger, is what he's saying, right? And I refuse that. I refuse to accept that vibration. My dad, his sayings were, you have to work for every dollar. He was an assembly line worker with a 7th grade education and a brilliant man that was beat down by the system, by society. And I refused to live there. And my mom, thinks, well, you'll never amount to anything. Just get a job at the assembly line and you can get a retirement. It'll be a nice living for you. And I wouldn't accept that. But she was the type of person that would see a beautiful woman walking by. Oh, who is she? Why is she? Blah, blah, blah. And so I was raised in that environment. And I realized in what hit home with me one day was my ex-husband called me by my mom's name one day. Ooh. And I was like, I am not my mother. And guess what? I was. So I had to go on a journey to be more kind, be more, or be less critical, less judgmental, less angry. And all that releasing of that raised my vibration to a point where I was manifesting. I was happy. Everything was flowing in my life. When you live at that low vibration, things don't flow. You're attracting more anger. You're attracting more judgment, more criticism. You live at happiness and you live at love. You attract more love. It's such a beautiful thing. And if people could just make that little shift in their brain, oh my gosh, their life could be amazing.
Yeah. And
sorry, I was just going to say, it's definitely all about the positivity, isn't it? And parents, whether they deliberately or non-deliberately, pardon the word, infect the youngsters with this negativity and the critical, the critique. And maybe it was those generations back then, Gail, so much. It was maybe it was more of a harder living in America and the UK, going back to those times, and it sort of perpetuated to the youngsters. And it's fantastic that you became aware of that and realised that it wasn't the best way to go. Yeah.
Well, we have to break the patterns from our genetics. It's it's that time where we're breaking patterns. As I'm the Gen Xer. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 50.
Yeah.
But the millennials and, they're going to be breaking these patterns. I'm hearing millennials say, I'm not going to live like my parents and be on prescription meds. I'm going to find a way to heal naturally. I'm listening to the younger generation talk about this, but the baby boomers were all about, let's just take a prescription. It's a quick fix, and the doctor says, and my dad passed away saying, if the doctors can't fix me, nobody can. My dad's dead.
Yeah.
Let's work out.
It's dreadful, isn't it?
It's interesting what you said about, when you had that eating content, like who could eat the less sugar with your mum, and you were saying that she thought that she had diabetes because it all came from genetics, but you must have known that, it's because of the sugar that you're eating. It's because it's not necessarily the genetics that you have, it's the lifestyle that you're leading that's going to turn on those genetics.
You look at Bruce Lipton. If anybody's interested in what you just said, Daniel, read Bruce Lipton's the belief book. I can't remember now the name of it. Power of Belief, something. Anyway, he talks about epigenetics. He talks about how it's your environment that affects your genetics. And so because we were always eating sugar, my mom had diabetic numbers on her glucose blood levels. But guess what? After she stopped eating the sugar, she didn't have the pre-diabetes and the diabetes anymore. So that was a definite, lifestyle. A lot of women will say, well, my mom had breast cancer, I'm going to get it. And you've just brought it into yourself. You've now owned that and given it an address in your body. But you can have, genetics of cancer because there's heavy metals. So heavy metals can be passed through the placenta barrier down generations. They've found mercury that was 1,000 years old in people's bodies.
Yeah, gosh.
Think about that. So you just pass down all that heavy metals from generation to generation. I had a stepdaughter who had cyclic neutropenia, which she didn't create white blood cells. So somebody sneezed, she's sick. Well, come to find out, her mother had a mouthful of those silver amalgam fillings. And there was a relationship between mercury and not producing the white blood cells to create the cyclic neutropenia, easy for me to say. And so, we worked on, getting rid of heavy metals for her. She now has 2 children. She wasn't supposed to be able to have babies or anything. So she's done a lot of work on herself to break those genetic ties, if you will.
So changing that environment, whether it was internal or the external environment.
Exactly, Daniel.
And it's going back to that word belief. It's about, doing your own research, isn't it? We're all in a system, but, do you have to listen to certain authorities? Aren't you going to do your own research? And the medical establishment, doctors are fantastic, but again, you want other opinions as well. There's maybe alternative healing out there rather than just the pills, as you were suggesting,
Right. Well, Biology of Belief is the book. I'm waking up now.
There was another one, wasn't it, with Bruce Lipton? It was Spontaneous Evolution.
Yes, that was great too, right? I think that was after the Biology of Belief. But yes, doctors are amazing. When I break my leg, if I have a break and, my bone's coming out of my skin, I'm going to the doctor. But then I'm going to use sound and light to heal that bone and make it even stronger and work with that in my body, because we're beings of light and sound by nature.
Just on that note, for the next question, how does sound impact or actually alter vibration? And then what effect will that sound have on the human body and the cells within that?
So do you guys know Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist? I think he maybe was even a doctor.
Yeah, he was the guy who did experiments on water, crystallized.
Yes. And what is our body made up of?
Water.
And he would put something on a bottle that says hate, and the crystals of the water would be all gnarly and ugly. Then he would put love, and the crystals looked like beautiful snowflakes.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, look at all the anger that I was holding on to, and probably all the gnarly cells that I was creating from that anger. But then when I started living in love, and there was unicorns and butterflies and rainbows, then my vibration increased. And the cells got healthier. So you're looking at sound waves and how can you make your cells healthier. So we use the resonant chamber of harmonic egg to contain all those beautiful sound waves in that cubic airspace of the sacred geometric egg. And you get that and you're in that resonant chamber, and you're just picking up all those wonderful vibrations to help heal the cells, you know, increase the vibration. Because our body is mostly water, we're affecting the water through the vibration.
So that'll massively, that sounds fantastic. That'll massively affect stress relief, I should imagine, Gail. You know, reducing somebody's stress, again, that will, as we were talking earlier, that'll really increase their immune system. Yes,
well, stress is the #1 killer in America. I'm not sure about the UK, but we have statistics that 90% of all doctor visits, if you look at the root cause of it, eventually you'll get down to it's stress. So I believe that there's 5 main causes of disease, but stress is one of them. So when you have stress, you're going to compromise your immune system.
Definitely. Go on, carry on, Dan.
What was you going to say?
I was just going to say, we were talking then about, you know, the surroundings and the environment in our society. You know, the environment today, it's so fast paced, isn't it? We've got iPhones going off, text messages, bedrooms are now becoming mini offices. You know, the car's a mini office, so you sort of can't get away from people communicating with you, you know, when you want to switch off. Do you think the environment could be changed through, you know, our bodies are affected through this stress, this vibration of people constantly coming at us? You know, the environment we're actually in is like I call it almost a negative soup. Whether it's the media, whether it's the newspapers, people around you are fearful. How do you feel on those lines?
No, you're absolutely right. We have way too many electronics. You know, it's a blessing and a curse. It's making our life easier, but it's making our life more stressful. We're always on. We're always tethered to the phone. Do you remember when we had, Dominique, you probably remember, you know, the corded phone, and you had to be standing next to the phone to be talking on it?
And the phone was in the hall. It wasn't in any other room. It was in the hall.
Right. And so we don't have that anymore. We're always on, always on, always on. So I'm like the Pavlov's dog, you know, when he rings the bell, like the phone goes off and I'm like, what? You know? So I put it on do not disturb because I don't like to hear that ding. It's like, oh, I'm on again. Oh, I'm on again. That is super stressful. So you need to do, if you want to, you need to do things like just go out in nature every hour, go out to your patio, you know, go look at your garden, go walk in the grass, you know, you stand up. We sit all day long. We're getting to be mutated humans. Our bodies don't function. Can you imagine the humpback, the computer humpback we're going to have? We're going to have text fingers. We're going to have arthritis in our hands. We're going to have so many things because we're not living in the world we used to live in.
I think you're totally right. You've got to get out into nature because it's not natural. I mean, we're obviously behind a computer now, like you are, Gail. You know, thousands of years ago, man wasn't sitting, or woman wasn't sitting behind a computer. He was moving. She was moving. You know, they were interacting, weren't they, in the fresh air? You know, they weren't cooped up.
And I think you know, obviously being in this 21st century, it has got its benefits because we wouldn't have been able to do this. But I think it's possibly becoming aware of those things within your life that are disrupting you and then minimizing that and holding yourself accountable for that, you know. And once you become aware, once you hold yourself accountable, we can sort of make that change within our lives, because it's not necessarily that that's causing the stress, it's how much we allow that into our bubble and into our lives, would you say?
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of it. So what you said, Daniel, is brilliant because we have to have the balance, but there's a self-discipline there that we don't have. Oh, one more email, one more text. Oh, there's one more. And then it's hours and hours later, we're still sitting, we stand up and it's like, wow, my back hurts, my shoulders hurt, my neck hurts. There's apps now that'll ding every hour to remind you to drink water and get up and move around. But we have to have that self-discipline. And as an overachiever, I mean, I've built a huge empire. We call it the egg empire in just 2 to 3 years. And it wasn't me like getting away from the computer. So now I've hired people so that I have more time. I realize I have to have balance. I need to walk the walk and talk the talk. I'm telling people to have balance. I still did pretty well. I still did my weekly egg sessions, and I was still doing massage and going out to see my horse every day, and I still do. But we have to have that self-discipline. Otherwise, we're just going to sit there, one more email, one more phone call, one more text.
Yeah, 100%. And we did a podcast not too long ago on about shame and how we, many of us are conditioned to base our self-worth on our productivity. And our society is being conditioned like a machine. But we're human, we have emotions, we do have ups and downs. Yeah. So if we're constantly doing that, then you're constantly going to be in this state of stress.
And I think Dan's right there regarding, would you say, Gail, that it's almost society, we've grown into almost like Terminator, mechanical beasts. We're not mechanical beasts, we're emotional, spiritual, mechanical beasts. And if you're treated like mechanical beasts, then maybe you don't use your emotions, and we do shut off almost like a robot,
And maybe it's that suppression that then leads to that lower vibration that we were speaking about, fear, hate, anger. Would you say?
You nailed it, Daniel. I mean, look what's happened with COVID. Now there's more people who are hermits and recluse because they're afraid to be around people. That was already happening with a lot of tech guys and girls who are, their job is network support, tech support. They're always on the computer. You could run into them at the store and you knew who they were because they were like looking around like, oh, there's people. Oh, there's a person. I mean, and now it's even worse because COVID kept us in lockdown. And now you see those people who were outgoing and extroverts being more introverted and looking around to see who's coming close to them.
Yeah, of course. It's been a challenging time for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's whether you've been fully into that or not so much, whatever your belief system, I think on either side of the fence of whatever beliefs you hold, I think it has definitely challenged a lot of people and brought people's vibration down.
It's been, as you're saying, sorry, Gail, I was going to say, it's been devastating, hasn't it? Whether it's across the pond where you guys are, the UK, Europe, all over the world, it's been quite devastating to communities because we mentioned earlier, we have to mention it with the suicides, and that's right up there, because of this.
The mental health problems that we're going to see. We've taken away children's lives. We've taken away from their sports and we're making them wear masks. I know sorry. He's on my emergency contacts as my brother, so he rings through all the time, even on Do Not Disturb. But my 8-year-old nephew, I mean, they're having conversations with each other about getting the vaccine, getting the jab. And it's very scary. Can you imagine just 2 little 8-year-olds? Well, my mom wants me to get it. My mom doesn't want me to get it. Yeah. We've really done a job on the heads of these kids and on ourselves. There will be more mental health problems. There will be more PTS. There will be more suicides, domestic violence, divorces. It's so hard for me to watch. And sometimes I just cry for the world because you sometimes feel the energies and how heavy they are and how much fear is going on.
Well, I mean, you're totally right there I feel say us adults, we've done quite a lot of stuff in our lives, but the teens, I should imagine I know quite a few clients with their sons and daughters, the milestones haven't been reached, have they? Their communication skills are down the pan, pardon the expression, because they haven't been able to interact. They haven't been able to grow, as you would as a normal human. So that confidence is on the floor.
Well, because you guys work in this industry about the brain development. So how much are we suppressing their natural brain development in a baby? Yeah. I'm seeing little babies on planes and I've got a mask on and this is their normal. This is what they think humans look like, and they're just born. And I fully believe that they see color in our words. So they see what we are speaking, and how can they see that through a mask? And so I would often just take my mask off and smile at babies, not normal, and this is what they're seeing, and that's what they're growing up, and that's how their brain is developing. So what's that going to cause later on in life?
Well, I think, you know, you even saying there about how when the baby's seeing colour or see our words, you know, I definitely think, you know, as a baby is attached to its mother, it looks at its mother's face to recognise, obviously,
The carer.
you know, that's the carer, this is how she looks, the smiles, how her eyes look and everything like that. When you're wearing a mask, a lot of our expressions and our smile and everything is hidden and covered up. So how will they ever know that connection and know those emotions and know those cues from the mother if she's always wearing a mask out and about? It's you know, I don't know.
That's a valid.
Hopefully we create new industries, and those industries are psychologists or therapists or counselors that have to help them relearn through EMDR or tapping, you know, what the normal is, and rewire the brain.
I mean, to help them with all of this negativity that's going on, as Dan was saying, and you both were talking about here, you know, what about attachment theories? You know, theory of attachment for the mother, daughter, son, that's going to be, you know, messed up, isn't it? You know, it's a normal relationship, but the baby or the son, daughter can't see, as you said, the expression of the father or the mother. So that's going to affect them psychologically, definitely. You know,
absolutely. And what have we done when I have a friend who they had the baby and they couldn't pick up the baby or touch the baby, so they're looking at the baby through the living room window, and or they're with the baby, but we don't want to touch the baby, we're going to stay 6 feet away. Yes. What kind of emotion is that putting to the baby? Oh my gosh, they don't want me, they don't want to be by me, they're sending me love from afar. What is that going to do?
It's going to do rejection, isn't it, Gail? You know, they're going to feel rejected,
abandoned, rejected, you name it, and that affects the vertebrae of L4 and L5. So I'm finding a lot more people are complaining about lower back pain, and that's an abandonment emotion.
Do you know that's so weird you just said that, because I've got L5 spondylolisthesis, and I feel like I've massively throughout my life struggled with like abandonment and attachment issues, but it's just that, you know, when something just clicks in your head.
Light bulb moments.
Yeah, no, it's true. I see it a lot.
We'll have to get you going in the egg.
Yeah. Oh, so
it does. The egg can release things at such a deep cellular level. And that's what veterans love about it that have been in military. They have the PTS, and they go in there and they don't have to relive by talking to somebody and saying, I killed this baby, or I killed this person, or I did this, or I did that, or I ruined somebody's life. They don't have to speak it. Sometimes speaking it pushes it further into their cell memory. So when they go in the egg and it just releases it energetically, they tell me they feel so light. And the words that some have used is, the monkey's not on my back anymore. It's like the monkey's off their back.
Yeah.
Relief.
Yeah. So for anyone out, obviously, that's going to be watching this podcast, can we talk a little bit about the egg, you know, how you came to develop the egg? And then also, you know, how is it used, and sort of what frequencies and vibrations are used with the egg to heal different traumas and heal different stressors?
Do you have about 3 hours? So in a nutshell, when I was helped, and we don't use the word heal, you know, when my balance was restored, or my body was rebooted by using sound and light therapy, I just jumped into it. My engineering mind was like, okay, how can this work? How can I lay in this chamber and there's a little bit of sound and a little bit of light, and I don't have asthma anymore. I don't have migraines anymore. My cystic acne is clearing up. My liver is healing. I'm feeling lighter. I'm feeling happier. What is going on? So when I dove into that, that's, you know, basically how I wrote my book. Is the first 3 chapters or so are about how did this come into being.
Yeah.
And why. But when somebody goes into the egg, just like that medical doctor you guys interviewed a couple weeks ago, things are about intention. So when you come into a Harmonic Egg Center, the technician that's been trained is going to ask you, what do you want to work on? And it could be hay fever. It could be lower back pain. It could be a mental health issue. And they're going to help you to set that intention. And so this doctor that you interviewed talked about intention. The intention is so important. You know, we tell you, you want to have a new job. Let's say they want a new job. They don't like their job. So we'll help them set that intention. What does it feel like? You already have this new job. What does it feel like in all the cells of your being that you can't wait to wake up in the morning, because you know what? You're going to this job that you love and you love your life and everything is just amazing. So we try to help them, whether it be a health issue or manifesting something, to set that intention. And so when they're in there, in that small space by themselves, healing by themselves, well, there's that word again, it's hard to not use it. And then at the very end, we have 10 minutes of silence for integration. So you go through 40 minutes of beautiful music. The music is all specifically designed to raise your vibration. The musicians that we hire have a high heart energy. They're not in their ego brain, you know, you can feel the energy of this music. It's not just you know, heavy metal music or anything. Then at the last 10 minutes of silence, you're there by yourself. You're there with yourself. And how many times a day do you spend 10 minutes in silence?
Yeah.
Besides never. And they're there and they're feeling what it would feel like to have this amazing job they can't wait to wake up and go to. They feel lighter. They feel zened out. We've taken their brainwaves and that resonance to the delta theta state. So their body is innately healing. Their nervous system is rebooting. They sometimes smell. You might smell mold, or you might smell metal smell. You might smell urine smell if there's some kidney or bladder issues. And they're just in there in that state of being that they would be in if they were in a deep REM sleep, and the body's just healing. So they come out after the 10 minutes of silence. And so it's been only 50 minutes in there. Sometimes it feels like 5 minutes. But they'll tell you about 2 hours of stuff that happened. Oh, I saw my mom and I actually was able to forgive her. I saw an old pet that, you know, came in and showed me how much that pet loved me. I saw people I haven't thought about for a while that I had huge traumas with, or I saw past life things going on. I think I was maybe a Native American in a past life, and I saw that life happen. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens. Time doesn't really exist when you get into that space. So, you know, I'm trying to talk fast because I could spend 3 hours talking about the process, but at a cellular level, you know, just it's releasing things emotionally, physically, environmentally, and it's bringing you to closer to your higher self. So that you have that veil, that you've created all that trauma, all that baggage, that you don't believe that you are worthy of anything good. You clear that crap, and you have that closer communication with source or God, whatever word you use. When children go in there, they can heal like that because they only know love. They're not full of all the baggage that we have to clear first. So you don't expect to go in there in one session and have this, you know, magic healing or magic restoration of the body. Because we got to get rid of a lot of baggage we've packed up. But with kids, sometimes they're just in there for 15 or 20 minutes. A baby, boom. I mean, they only know love.
And is this, I think maybe some of the listeners out there would be quite surprised that, you know, we have this cellular memory, which is what you're talking about, isn't it, Gail? You know, all the memories linked into the cells, and it's about releasing that, and that's fantastic. Sounds great.
You know, you were also saying there about if you had kidney issues, you might smell or taste urine. Well, are there specific sounds that you would use or vibrations that you'd alter to put into the egg for specific conditions when people are coming for the, you know, the healing?
Yes, that's a great question. Hopefully you don't taste urine. Sorry, Daniel, I just had to harass you about that. But yes, I will smell the urine smell. And at first I thought, did they make a mess in the egg? But no, it's just a smell that comes off. So every single condition can be related to, in Eastern medicine, can be related to an imbalance in the chakra, you know, the chakras.
Yeah.
So what comes to mind is if you have a brain tumor, it can be an imbalance in that third eye chakra.
Yeah.
So what I have done and studied and researched is what instruments bring each of the different chakras into balance and what colors. So in our training manual, and also I wrote it in the book, so you can work with sound and light at home. So in the book, it'll talk about how to heal with sound and light at home. Every chakra will be related to something else. So kidneys can be either sacral or solar plexus chakra. So you'll be using oranges and yellow lights, and you'll be using different instruments. So all that comes together for the technician to help you when you come in and say, this is what I want to work on.
Fantastic.
And what book is that?
It's called, well, actually, I did a Facebook Live last night, so I actually have it right here.
Okay. Unlocking the Ancient Secrets to Healing.
Yep.
What science?
Science is looking at the past for the future of medicine. So all the ancients in Greek, the Greece and Egypt and the Mayans and the Aborigines, they used didgeridoo. The Native Americans used drumming. They all used the sunlight for healing. And so sound and light was ancient stuff. So when I talk about big pharma and the prescriptions, who's the alternative? They have altered the native medicine. How can they alter native medicine and call us the alternative? We're the alternative.
We're totally with you. From me, myself, and mine, we're really with you, and our listeners are, I'm sure, because this medicine, as you're talking, this healing process has been around for thousands upon thousands of years. And then, as you said, big pharma came in. Not that we're against medication, but there should be a choice.
And I think there's a time and a place for medicine. Obviously modern medicine has helped so many different things, but I think we have been conditioned to rely on that when actually we're human beings and we've evolved alongside the sun. Like you said, the natives used instruments and things like that, and we've come away from the belief that the strength that we have and the universe and the world around us has, and we've been conditioned into almost like victims.
We haven't got the power. That
we have no power, and we need to ask for a pill to fix everything. But I don't know whether that comes from we don't want to put in the hard work that it takes to heal yourself and to go through that, or whether it is just that conditioning to rely on something else. I'm not sure.
And I believe if you have high blood pressure, you need to go on a blood pressure meds so that you don't have a stroke or a heart attack and die. But then let's find out, why do you have high blood pressure? Is it a physical problem? Is it dehydration? Is it, lack of exercise and movement? So, and, with people with the big C, they get chemo. You have to make that choice for your body, but then later on you have to figure out, why did I manifest this? Why did that come to my body? And a lot of times that is the root cause of just heavy metals or of, underlying viral load. So you really need to deal with that at a root cause. Otherwise it's just still there in the body.
It'll repeat, won't it? You can't mask it, with some of the pills, masking things, it's about, as you said, treating the root cause of the illness or disease, or whatever's going on, within life. And as we said earlier, it's massively about lifestyle, I believe that society, as we've said, how it's been conditioned, it's a get rich, get quick, society, get fit quick, get rich quick, get a relationship quick. Anything, as you said, looking out into nature, when you want something that's proper, shall I say, it's sustainable. You don't grow crops in 5 minutes. It takes a time frame, doesn't it? And that's maybe where all of that came from with the crops. They started to, crops out of season and fast forward the growing of the crops and all of this GMO going in the foods. And, and it's sort of almost as if, as Dan was saying, we're giving our power away. We're sort of sitting in front of the medical establishment and giving our responsibility to them to dictate how we live, but I think that's another podcast. But
fast food hasn't helped. You drive up to the window, you get your burger, and you're mad if it takes 3 minutes because you're expected in 1 minute.
Yes.
So people don't want to go home and make a hamburger patty, season it, Put it on the grill or put it on the stove or in the oven. I mean, that could take an hour. God forbid that we wait an hour to eat.
Well, I used to, many years ago, Dan, probably 23 years ago, 24 years ago, I used to take him to a certain establishment where they serve burgers, but not anymore. You know, I stopped doing that 24 years ago, you know, because fast food, okay, we all need a bit of gunk, as my nan used to say, but, you know, fast food 7 days a week, surely it's going to lead to, as I say, fast death, I'm afraid. Fast food, fast death, you know. I was just going to ask, sorry, about the harmonic egg. Is it in the UK, Gail? Can we find it in the UK?
Yes, there. If you go to harmonicegg.com and you go to the locations tab, you can scroll down and find the ones in England, the ones in the Netherlands. There's one in the Netherlands, 2 in England, and you know they carry the products, they carry the book, they carry the music, because some of your listeners are going to be, you know, saying I'm not going to pay shipping from the United States, so they do carry the book, they do carry the music that we have available for people to take home and anchor in their session or create a higher vibration in their home or in their life. So yes, it's I'm excited to be on this podcast to talk to you guys about, you know, the European eggs.
Awesome.
Is it, you know, to sort of finish it, is there any actionable tips that you'd give our listeners, or is there any specific sounds that they could listen to either on your website or YouTube, or anything that could maybe change or alter their vibration?
Yes. Those were a lot of questions that you asked at once, but yes, I think wearing and eating the rainbow, one of your podcasts, I think she did natural therapy or natural medicine, some sort.
Yeah.
I encourage people to wear different colors every day. They all have a frequency or vibration, and eat different colors every day. They all have a frequency and vibration. That's going to help you stay vibrant. I'd say hydration is one of the most important things. We talked about our body being almost all water.
Yeah.
So 60 to 90 ounces, what would that be? Maybe 2 to 3 liters of water? Is that kind of the right?
That's right. 2 liters plus at least.
Yep. Exactly. So we need water. People that get dementia sometimes can be a chronic dehydration. So 30, 40 years, they haven't had water. Their brain shrinks.
Yeah, atrophies.
Brain actually shrinks. There's no, to me, there's, you know, in my research, there's no cure for that. Some dementia is lack of B12 and heavy metals, but some dementia is you're chronically dehydrated for so many years, your brain has shrunk, and there's not a lot you can do with that. And then exercise. Daniel, you look like you're buff and you know, you got muscles and exercise. I don't do a lot of strenuous workouts because I feel like there's so much stress in the world that causes stress on the body. So I do more light, you know, I'll walk with my horse. I do gentle yoga and just be really kind to my body.
Yeah.
And so I'm not just, you know, slinging weights around, but I don't have, I'm not heavy, and I have a very toned body, even though there's we believe we have to go work out 5 or 7 days a week. And I think that's a misnomer that we have been taught by society. We didn't have 24-hour fitness centers back in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
The second question that you asked was about music they can play at home. I think they just need to find, you know, music that makes them happy. But in my book, we do talk about, you know, what flute music will do for the body, what drumming does for the body. So that's a whole nother podcast.
Nice. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Well, I'd just like to say, you know, been so excited having you on, Gail, and I'm sure our listeners will really love this podcast and get a lot out of it. Okay, so
and where can people find you, like your website, your Instagram, or wherever you are on social media?
Pretty much Harmonic Egg everything. Harmonic Egg YouTube, Harmonic Egg Instagram, Harmonic Egg Facebook, harmonicegg.com is the website. All the locations are there, the stores there, the products that we sell. We don't sell on Amazon. Just didn't feel like the vibration of Amazon was the right vibration for my book or my music. Just my thought. So anywhere, and we have a contact. If somebody wants to contact me, they can contact me via the website. I try to reply, but I also have an executive assistant that helps me out as well.
Okay, brilliant. No, appreciate that. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys. Have a great day, and yeah, I really appreciate it.
All the best. Have a great day.